Good morning, everybody. Grand Rising out there. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co host, Trey Holiday. And you guys know I got to throw it on over to my guy, Big O. What's up, Big O? Happy Monday, my friend.
Good morning, Trey. On a holiday, it's good. It's good to see you. Mondays always start out kind of but then I get on set, whether you're here in person or on the screen here, and you always brighten my day. I hope you had a great weekend.
Oh, same here, my friend. I definitely did. I'm glad. I'm glad I was able to chill and relax this weekend. Hope the same for you.
Yeah, no, it was cool. You know what I'm saying? A very good kind of rainy, cold weekend out here, but you know what I'm saying. Had a good time. It was interesting. We were having a discussion here. We don't have time for it in this segment, but having an interesting discussion here. How and sometimes in politics, nothing's ever final. We were talking about how it's a lot of ideas out there in the community and city hall. It seems like if they need to be fleshed out a little bit more and presented to the public. We still haven't heard from the mayor as far as her task force that she talked about with this $100 million investment, but also an opportunity for community to explain their mechanisms of how they want to move forward as well. So
Right. It's a great time for the public to be educated for sure.
education, as Big Mama and them used to say. Hey, we're gonna jump right into it. The first thing we have is from King Five. When we talked about Black Coffee Northwest, the coffee shop up there in Shoreline, Washington. This black-owned coffee shop that's black-centered, basically. They were almost burned out. I mean, it was a legitimate arson attempt. Somebody tried to set it on fire a few different ways. Looks like the community up there in Shoreline came together for the grand opening. We'll play this clip right here.
Thank you so much.
It was supposed to be a soft opening, yet cars stretched around the block outside Black Coffee Northwest in Shoreline.
Do you want the 8-ounce for the kids?
A new coffee shop built by black owners as a space to talk about race. An opening day that almost didn't happen. And that's why this is so emotional.
As crazy as the world is right now, this is just a breath of fresh air.
A welcome sight for owner Aaron Weary and his family. Especially when you see how much they've overcome.
It is a good day. This is great.
Late September, Black Coffee Northwest was getting ready for its grand opening. In a region where coffee shops are everywhere, this one was going to be different. A black-owned business that doesn't steer a conversation away from race. Instead, they encourage it.
And that's what the goal was, is to really bring the community together and experience different culture and really introduce people to a different side of business.
On the cusp of opening, they woke up to this.
It wasn't like a note on the door. They were really trying to do some major harm and damage.
Someone had smashed a window, tried to catch the building on fire with a Molotov cocktail. Shoreline police are investigating, but have yet to make an arrest.
As a black teen, it's tough because you want to be a teenager, and sometimes you can't just be a teenager.
For 17-year-old Michaela Weary, today is proof that she can overcome anything.
I mean, just seeing this today, it really gets me pumped and excited to have this place to be a community hub and serve.
The damage to the building was quickly fixed, and the impact they hope to make on the community is only getting started. As for the criminal investigation, we now know that the FBI is assisting. Investigators say there is surveillance video, but they aren't releasing it to the public. If you have any information, you're asked to contact police. In Seattle, Sebastian Robertson, King 5 News.
All right, so yeah, that was actually the soft opening there in Shoreline. And yeah, the community turned out there. Man, I saw that and I was like, wow, this is dope. Then I looked at the comments. Man, I looked at the comments online. They tell a whole different story. It's yeah. I mean, man, it's interesting. I never read comments before, and I'm probably gonna stop reading comments. The last week I've been reading a lot of comments, and it's a lot of hate out there.
Yeah, there really is. And you know what? I'm really glad that we were able to showcase this. And I'm also happy that King 5 followed up with these business owners and showcased this amazing soft opening. I mean, you got to admit, as a business, for anybody who's a business owner out there, if ours was a service business and we had a line like that on opening day, that's
Man.
pretty amazing. and definitely a great showcasing of how the community is accepting and embracing that business in their community and neighborhood. So I just love seeing that. I'm glad we were able to follow up on that.
All right, another follow-up. King County Councilmember Girmay Zahilay. Last week, he put up on his Instagram and his Twitter how they had a Zoom call there with residents in Skyway talking about services in Skyway, and I guess it was hacked by, a bunch of people putting all kinds of racist and anti-Semitic and sexist comments into the Zoom. Wanted to follow up with the council member on that and, see what his thoughts were and what's next. All right, here with King County Council Member Girmay Zahilay. Ben, wanted to check in with you. Saw this post that you actually put up on Instagram the other day. Let me see if we can add it in here. You said, "My deepest apologies to Skyway residents who joined the local services town hall last night. Well, felt like dozens of Zoom hackers bombed the virtual meeting with offensive, anti-Black, anti-Semitic, and sexually explicit images and words." Councilmember Zahilay, tell us all about it.
Yeah, we were holding our Skyway town hall a couple of nights ago through our Department of Local Services. And then all of a sudden, we just started hearing the N-word, seeing swastikas being drawn, all kinds of sexually explicit images. People were drawing swastikas on my face and saying crazy and offensive stuff. It was bad. I felt really bad for our residents who were joining the call.
Right. And what do you think the cause? I mean, clearly this is like crazy people doing this, but do you think this is just them randomly doing this, or do you think this has something to do with this big vote that you guys have coming up with this King County charter and the issues around the sheriff?
So, Omari, I don't have any evidence to know if it was targeted or not, but I do know that our Department of Local Services has done this a bunch of times, and they told us this is the first time it's ever happened on one of their virtual town halls. So, I mean, some people can draw the conclusion that it was based on, Skyway having the highest proportion of Black people in the state of Washington. Clearly a lot of racism being targeted toward us. And I think this from my Twitter, but I do frequently get a lot of hate email and racist emails coming at me all the time. So, I mean, you can't know for sure, but the pattern has been there.
Well, it's good to know I'm not the only one who gets a lot of racist.
You get that too, huh?
Man, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Believe me. Well, you know what? This is an opportunity right here for you to speak directly to your constituents, especially in Skyway, but throughout the district that you serve, and maybe even King County. What do you want people to know?
I really think it's important to vehemently denounce racist words and symbols, because those can have traumatic effect on people who've had to deal with the consequences of racist words and symbols. It's really important, and I'm glad that so many of my colleagues and so many people around the region have been talking about this issue, because I do think racism is getting a lot louder and a lot prouder, with stuff that our president has been doing, fanning the flames and making it okay for people to be loud and proud about these racist views. At the same time, I wrote about this on my Twitter as well. I want to make sure that our region as a whole region has a broader analysis around what constitutes racism and what's deserving of our outrage. I think so frequently when I post things that racists have emailed me or said on a virtual town hall, when people know that the N-word has been directed at my office or our virtual town hall, the outrage is understandably there, and people are posting and angry and denouncing this, as they should. I want to make sure they have that same energy around systemic racism, because the only time we should be outraged is not when we hear the N-word. People should also be outraged when they drive through Skyway, the area that has the highest proportion of Black people in the state, and you see dilapidated infrastructure, $0 of affordable housing invested. People should be similarly outraged when they walk into our jails and see mostly Black and brown faces. People should post and be angry and be visibly upset when they see Black wealth marching towards zero every single year. People should be just as outwardly outraged when you walk through Pioneer Square and you see that 90% of our homeless population there is Black. these are the issues that you should also be loud about, and that you should denounce, and that you should fight against. So that's my main message. It's like, you know, Omari, we've all been called the N-word. We've all dealt with the crazy people online and stuff, and that's important to talk about. I want to make sure that we broaden our analysis to include systemic racism too.
All right, King County Councilmember Girmay Zahilay right there. Yeah, you know, he brings up some good points. And, you know, for sure, man, I used to get a lot of, it's calmed down some, but man, I used to get the messages that we used to get, it got to a point where I didn't open anything. I didn't even open my email and my social media, nothing. It was like, it was too overwhelming, man. And that's much different than, like, you know, David from Malcontent was just saying a lot of comments are bots and everything else. But when somebody's sending you an email, it's no longer a bot. This is people who go out of their way to be like, yeah, it was ill. So, Councilmember Zahilay.
Well, I think, you know, we talked about it. Yeah, he really made a great point there, and really resonating with so many of us who understand that this is not just about one act of racism. This is about systems built on racism. So I'm just glad that he ended with that, and that he was able to uplift it, because again, you know, when we talk about Skyway residents, that's one incident, right, where they were able to breach this, you know, this community meeting, you know, so many things on Zoom. Now Zoom has had to do so much work in terms of the security, up leveling their security for folks. Make sure you got that waiting room, make sure you add that password. It's a lot of different things that we have to do now just to keep our people secure, and to try to make sure people are not being triggered again by those racist acts. I'm glad that he was able to address that. But, you know, it's something like he said, we're used to adjusting. Once again, we got to adjust now digitally to these racist threats.
All right. So David from Malcontent Tango was up at the Back the Blue protest at Green Lake, and also turned into a counter protest. I could say that Seattle clearly was a lot more tame than other places in America. Somebody was killed in Denver over the weekend. But this is a few clips here from what David caught up there at Green Lake, and it looks to be a lot of conversation going on.
My name is Savannah. I run Back the Blue Washington on Facebook, and we are in the process of building a nonprofit organization.
If me and you are fighting in the street right now, and the cops roll up, who's going to jail?
That's a great question. My daughter has come to me many times about the system of the police and how the police were started originally, and with the slave trade and right, exactly.
And they hired the poorest of the white folks to do that.
Right, exactly, to get the slaves back. And that is how the police organization originally started.
So you know this.
I do know this. I do. And I work very hard to hear my daughter's side, because how the hell am I going to expect her to hear my side if I'm not listening to hers, right?
Right, and there's one clip right here. Here's another one.
I think this world is fucked up the way it is. And it doesn't matter if you're black or you're white or you're Asian or Hispanic. The whole world is fucked up.
Look, love, this color, when I walk outside, everywhere I go, someone's looking at me. I gotta worry about my children's children and their children's children. That's very
imperative. But that is not how I look at you.
Well, love, that's not how they look at us.
All right, so that was up at Green Lake. This was the Back the Blue protest and then counter protest. And you know, David was out there for 4 hours, man. He's the new champion. He got a pole and everything. Like, he goes hard with it. Whole lot of action after that. David's gonna be talking about that tonight. He has a show now at 8 o'clock on Malcontent Tango. You can find that across social media. So he has the whole story of the day from beginning to end, including the interaction with protesters and police and everything else. But just thought that we would pull those two clips. Thank you, David. Thank you, Malcontent Tango. If you're not following those guys, the poll cam, make sure and reach out to them. Next up right here is just the issue with Trader Joe's. You know, Monday is a good day for us for follow-up. We following up, man. I try to follow up with as much stuff as I can. So Trader Joe's We put up their page last week, an Instagram page, Trader Joe's, I think 130, where we're talking about boycott Trader Joe's, unfair treatment of employees. Apparently there's employees there. They have a no Black Lives Matter mask, or you can't wear anything if you're an employee that says Black Lives Matter on it. And actually that's what I brought up our conversation last week between me and you on the difference between, Black Lives Matter as an organization and saying that you support the value of Black lives. And, there's clearly a difference, but it's all right. We're going to continue that discussion. So anyways, they couldn't wear BLM, anything BLM. And so I talked to Christina Cobb, and Christina was actually fired last week by Trader Joe's. Christina was one of the employees who was told to remove their Black Lives Matter mask. And then when protesters came to the store, some of the managers wanted the employees to leave the store floor. And Christina did not leave the floor. Christina said that they wanted to bear witness to the protest and help customers. And ultimately, Christina got fired, and I caught up with Christina as to her experience there at Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's, they did a new policy for masks, specifically though pulling crew members aside for wearing BLM gear, anything BLM. And protesters were letting customers know about this new policy that's being enforced. And honestly, some of the crew members didn't even know that this policy was even a thing, and let alone being enforced. I was one of the crew members that was pulled aside wearing a Black Lives Matter mask and asked to take it off. And yeah, the protesters, they were challenging the management, and asking about those policies. And not only that, at the Capitol Hill, like Trader Joe's store, we have, the Pan-African flag and the Pride flag, along with a lot of other queer flags. And they were demanding that, if Trader Joe's says we can have BLM masks, then they demanded that all these flags be taken down. Four crew members decided to, me being one of them, stay on the floor. It was a chaotic situation, and we stayed on the floor to bear witness to the protests and also help customers. And different managers were saying different things, but we decided to do that. We thought it was the best option for us in that situation.
You stayed on the floor. Some of the managers wanted you to get off the floor. Once the protest was over with, the protesters left the store. What happened next with you and your relationship with Trader Joe's?
Yeah, so immediately once the protesters left, we then took off for the day. And then the next day, about 20 minutes into my shift, I was pulled aside and asked to give a statement because an investigation will be conducted. And I asked if I was in trouble or if I did anything wrong or what this investigation was about. And it was basically just because we stayed on the floor. And yeah, as for me and another crew member, we were then since terminated because of that incident. Yeah.
And what was their reasoning for termination?
Yeah, their reasoning was insubordination, that we refused to go to the back room like our manager requested us. It's just an interesting thing to be fired without warning from Trader Joe's, a company that promotes itself on being its number one value is integrity. And it's just against the culture, honestly, when it comes to discipline in a way. At least as far as I knew, I'm now learning that is not the case.
All right. So Christina Cobb right there. I asked Christina, like, what's next? Christina said that they're gonna take their time and try to figure something else out. But it's quite a few people that are pretty upset about this situation here with Trader Joe's. Of course, reach out to Trader Joe's. Hope to hear back from them. Get their side of the story. But that's where it's at right now. Next story. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Triana.
No, I was just going to say it really highlights how, the everyday citizen has to fight kind of some of these major corporations just to even keep their job. Sounds like Christina is going to be going that route. Like, hey, is there a rep you could talk to? Anybody else who could kind of have your back in this case? They just move on and get another job. But honestly, this is another system that's working the way it's supposed to in American fabric. And it's unfortunate because you have these large corporations that have a lot of the power, and they're able to say, hey, that was an act of, insubordination, not give her a warning, not put her on a track to say, look, we understand that you felt some type of way that day, but we need to put this on record. But no, that was enough to terminate her. It's unfortunate, man.
Right, and a few things. So the full interview is going to go up later on today on our Instagram and YouTube page. But some other things Christina said is that they'd been at their employee there for 3 years. And that also Christina felt that the Trader Joe's is probably trying to tread a line, and it's not working well for them. They're trying to basically pander to one community and another, everything else. I mean, that's not going to work out well for anybody. So we'll continue to follow up. Like I said, reach out to Trader Joe's, see what they're talking about. A very sad story, actually, out there in Federal Way. It's connecting Federal Way, Tacoma, and Lakewood, and that's the story of Damoni Nelson. Damoni, a 17-year-old student at Federal Way High School, a stellar athlete and an academic, was murdered September 28th in Lakewood at his cousin's house party out there. They caught the person who killed Damoni. This is a clip right here from Q13, but it just highlights the tragedy, man, of this continued issue of gun violence. This young man, Damoni Nelson, cut down in his prime.
This was a young man that was athletic, he was smart, he was a born leader, and investigators say he was killed because of a case of mistaken identity. Dressed in an orange jumpsuit and in handcuffs, 29-year-old Justin Coleman sat in a distance from the courtroom as charges were read aloud.
He's being charged with 4 counts. Count 1 is for murder in the second degree. Count 2 is for murder in the second degree. Count 3 is for drive-by shooting. And count 4 is for unlawful possession of a firearm in the first degree.
Coleman is accused in the late September killing of 17-year-old Damoni Nelson, a star athlete, a bright student, and leader, according to friends. It was back on September 28th when, according to police probable cause documents, Nelson was attending a birthday party at the Gravelly Lake Townhomes in Lakewood. In the early morning hours, shots rang out. Nelson was hit as he was sitting in the passenger seat of a car. A friend had tried taking Nelson to the hospital, but they didn't make it, and this promising young man was killed. Documents also show that this may have been a case of mistaken identity. Investigators say the intended victim was Nelson's cousin, who police say is a known gang member. But for those who knew Damoni Nelson, they say he was a bright light, a strong leader, and had a compassionate heart for others, and he will be missed. And again, we have reached out to the family, friends, even former coaches of Damoni Nelson, and all were just really too heartbroken to speak about this. But the story here truly is that Damoni Nelson was killed. Again, this was a bright young man. He was a star athlete at Federal Way High School. He was a football player getting looks at several colleges, had a 3.4 GPA, and now he's gone because of a case of gun violence.
And, this case here with Damoni Nelson, it was like, I know, and I'm good friends with some of his relatives. And it's like, we talk about how gun violence, is a constant impact, I mean, this is Federal Way, killed in Lakewood. And, I never met this young man or his parents directly, but I do know relatives. And so this is something I've personally been following for the past few days. But this issue of gun violence, we talked about the issue in Seattle, but of course, clearly it's an issue, across the region. So wishing all the best and prayers and support to the family of Damoni Nelson. And if you guys, if you feel that you want to come on here and talk about your son, the platform is yours.
Absolutely. I think it's important for us to understand that, when we talk about the disruption of, the Black community, so many of us are spread out all throughout King County, Pierce County, all throughout. And honestly, I live in Federal Way. So hearing this story, you know what I'm saying? My son has friends that went to school with Damoni. You know what I mean? So again, there's always just a couple of degrees of separation when you talk about, death in the Black community. We're a small population here in Washington State. So even throughout the state, you have a lot of connectivity. If it's somebody's cousins knew them, grew up with them, there's always that. It's something that we always experience, man. So this is another one that we have to kind of, experience in the community. And I'm glad that we have this platform here for their family to come on if they're willing, and open to doing that, and that they will have a way to share their perspective of what happened with mom.
Right. And next up, on a lighter note, caught up with Stephanie Morales. Stephanie, she's been on our show quite a few times. She talked about the Liink project, which is actually like an artist creative situation, space that they're opening there in the Central District, very close to Jackson Street. Here in the next little bit, it'll be a space for artists to do work, to present their work. Actually, let me play this. She can explain it best.
The Liink Project is an arts, culture, and business space that's going to be going up into the Central District in November of 2020. So we're just a couple weeks away from opening or from occupying the space and starting to build it out. It's just going to be a space to hear Black see Black art, Black creatives, dancers, teachers. We have a kitchen, we have a retail space, we have an event space. Pretty much all of that. Anybody that's a creative or business owner, Black business owner, Black creative in Seattle, this is the space for them.
Now, when you talk about creatives and things like that, I see here on the website, you've got the infamous, Melvin Freeman, the fly blind guy. Tell me, what is Melvin doing there? Is his art being displayed there, and this is a place for other people to display art and also create?
Yes. Art? So our entire goal, we have a couple goals. One is just elevating and celebrating all Black artists and creatives and entrepreneurs, and then the other one is building art community through art. And so what's on the page here, every month we're going to have a new featured, it could be an artist, it could be a chef, it could be somebody who has a business. And so every month we want to try to use our space to, to promote and elevate them. So Melvin is our first official featured artist.
Right. And what was the impetus or the motivation around this?
I'm also the owner of Axum Arts and Entertainment, and my goal and focus has always been to highlight people of color and Black and brown artists and creatives and all of that. And so then just kind of extending that into an actual physical space. And also as an artist myself, I often found that space was the biggest resource that was a barrier to be able to kind of carry out some of the ideas that I had. And so I just said, I got tired of asking permission or having to kind of downplay the mission of highlighting Black and brown artists and all of that. And so I said, well, we just need our own space. And it's something I've been thinking about for a very long time. And the opportunity came up, and I have excellent business partners. And so it was just time. Thing lined up really nicely.
Right. And last question, how can people get up with Liink and learn more about it? I see that you're accepting donations if people want to donate.
Yes, our goal with the donations is to have 6 months worth of operating costs so that when we get into the place, we don't have to worry about how we're going to pay rent, scramble to pay rent. We can just focus on making it the most viable space for everybody. And so, yes, you can find out more information on the Liink, theliinkproject.com. That's LIINK. project.com. And then we're the same on all social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and we'll be getting all the other ones as we can.
All right. Stephanie, man, staying busy as usual out there, right?
Yeah, you know what? You gotta love this. And this is what I am talking about. Man, first of all, our community comes together and recognizes a need, fills that need, and now we have an actual physical space for this explosion of creativity. I'm really excited to see how this pulls up. I mean, how it builds up. This is really fun for me because when you think about a place like Wanawari, we got LBB, we got Black Got Back, we got the Liink, we got Jackson Heights. I mean, that's what community is all about. It's really building, and I love seeing this stuff exploding in the Central District, bro.
All right, we're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we've got Jonathan Solomon and Abdi Ibrahim. They are the directors of the short film, Who Am I? Trey Holiday is going to be talking to them. You are watching the Morning Update Show.
We're the Yard Bros. I'm Taco.
I'm Tia.
And this is our love story.
So we've been together for 14 years and married for 12.
So we met at a choir rehearsal.
No.
Which way?
We met at church.
Oh, you're talking about the very first.
The very first interaction.
When you were shady. Okay.
I was not shady.
And I was like, will you?
I remember that.
And then it cuts off. And then I was like, marry me. And then I feel the bars.
But it stopped being about each other. And so COVID helped us to return to, wow.
We matter. You and I matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for listening to our love story.
We're the Yard Bros.
And vote Black Love.
My parents coming over here as refugees meant that they didn't really have anything when they came to America. Having reliable healthcare and having a reliable doctor was really important. Gongdong kutoy, jam ite kutoy.
我的社区，我的诊所。Mi comunidad, mi clínica.
Bulshada iyo baqaraha.
My community, my clinic.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury.
And I'm Trey Holiday.
Yay, holiday. What's happening?
What's going on?
All right, so we played this film, found it just on YouTube. I'm always looking for stuff like a week ago, and it's called Who Am I? It's actually a short film that highlights 40 Seattle area artists, and we're able to track down the directors, Jonathan Solomon and Abdi Ibrahim. We'll bring them on here in 1 second, but we're gonna go ahead and play the Who Am I for you.
Who am I? Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I? I am your friend, a sister, a brother,
a neighbor. I am a son, a daughter,
a cousin. I am the relative of all before me. My ancestors'
wildest dreams, yet still, I cry out from their nightmares.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
I am the skin, pulled tight and stretched thin.
I am the canvas of hues decorating your walls.
Brushed over in your renaissances and forgotten in your history books. Yet I remain resilient.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
I am the sound the trees make on a warm summer day.
A strength built over time. The horns and the keys has sparked a revolution.
The bass, the strings.
I'm generations of voices you tried to silence.
Yet the crescendo is building.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I? I am the rhythm, the sway of my hips, the waving of my hands.
My feet slap the ground beneath me, thunderous in their nature.
I know that you see me. Your gaze never leaves me.
Yet you clap and clap. My discomfort is your entertainment. Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
I am a keeper of secrets, a teller of stories, an author
who recants the tales of pain and injustice.
Injustice of my people.
I sing out in frustration, harmonizing our suffering.
Who am I? I am the definition of making do.
A master of flavors by force.
You seize my plates, Add garnish and a fancy name. Who am I? I am the tale of torture that weaves through my coils.
I am the twist,
the braids,
the do-rags.
I am the fades and tapers.
The locks that you claim to dread.
Yet called different names when atop your head.
Who are we?
We are the movers and shakers.
The culture pushers. The tastemakers.
The revolutionaries and the risk takers.
We too.
We too.
We too.
Our America.
All right. Who am I right now? Right there. Let's bring in Jonathan Solomon and Abdi Ibrahim. And man, let me give you guys some space on the screen.
Welcome, Jonathan and Abdi. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for letting us be here.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you guys, it's an inspiring piece. What was the motivation behind this piece, putting it all together?
Well, this summer, John and I, we ended up going to a couple of the protests after the killing of George Floyd. And, you know, we were in Seattle getting tear gas, maced, all that, you know. And there's a lot of emotions. And I mean, we both kind of revisited and had the conversation and talked about how this wasn't something that was new, even though a lot of people saw it as that. This was something that we've seen in our time a lot and even before. So we revisited that week after the protest, and we just decided as artists, we have a platform and we could create something that not only would be artistically valuing Black creatives in Seattle, but also could actually like raise real money for organizations that fight for equity every day. So John organized a lot of it, and we just set out to come up with the concept of who am I. The process like began with John and me just wanting to uphold production quality, create something that's amazing and that people can enjoy without being traumatic or exploitative, and also just give back to our community specifically.
Yeah, and kind of just just to piggyback off of just the overall process too of putting the whole film together too. For the crew aspect is like even everything was just organic. These were recommendations from family and friends, from people that we've known from just living and working in Seattle as artists. So everybody was one text away, everybody was this, and we wanted to make sure that if we're going to highlight Black talent, then Black talent needs to be the people in charge of the film too, but past just kind of the simple term of when non-Black folks talk about, change and within companies, it's often just diversity, and there's no inclusion and there's no anti-racist policies put in place. And so we wanted to make sure, especially, me being a white man and directing this film with Abdi, is, Randy, who kind of put us on to coverage. She produced the film, and the film was written by 3 local Black writers, two men, one woman, other way around, Damoni, Acuna, and Will. And then it was shot by a Black man, Justin Jeffers. It was edited by Niles Howard. It was produced by Kai Wright, which goes by Sango. The colorist was Black too as well. We wanted to really make sure that all of the roles and the processes in this project were beyond face value and could actually be a big economical tool for all of the artists involved.
Yeah, that's super huge. Because that was going to be my next question. I mean, not only is it sometimes we just see the subjects that are on the camera, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes. And as an executive producer myself, I appreciate that approach, man, because a lot of the times you're so right. It's inclusion or diversity is only looked at a very surface level. So I'm glad that you guys thought about it holistically. So it sounds like you guys really had a lot of connections with the cast. Was it the same? I mean, with the crew, was it kind of the same for the cast? How did you guys source the artists that you guys chose to work with?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Kind of like majority of these artists, and even a lot of this cast and crew, the talent itself, like some of them we went to high school with, some of them even middle school and elementary. A lot of them were just friends and family, and once me and Abdi kind of just like locked this in, and we're like, oh, we're doing this. I would say nearly 75% of these, the artists featured in the film and highlighted were confirmed within the first day. And then, kind of from there, we wanted to make sure that representation is further than just, face value when it comes to Black art is often related just to music. And so we wanted to make sure that Seattle as a place where we know all these artists, it expands that. It goes to writers, it goes to comic book writers like Devlin, it goes to painters, it goes to chefs, it goes to barbers, it goes to hairstylists, it gets far in between. It goes to musicians, producers, rappers, singers, like everybody, even the BWB drumline at Meany Middle School. Making sure to highlight all these folks and to spread it as far as we can within the city, going from Seattle all the way down to Tacoma too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Was this you guys' first time working together, or do you guys have experience working with one another on production? Do you guys already have like a company, or was this just like, look, we need to do this?
Yeah, it was look, we need to do this. Me and John both we've known each other for a couple of years now. Just the same way a lot of Seattle artists in the area know each other, just through social media. We've met up a couple times, and we've always talked about just supporting each other and supporting other artists. And that was a conversation that was very consistent between us two. But this and we were operating in two different spaces. John's been directing for a little bit now, and I've been doing photography, and this is my first time directing. But we always wanted to find that middle ground where we can create together. So this was like a perfect opportunity for us to come together and be like, okay, this is something that we can work on. And John was somebody that was like, you know, direct, like you should be confident in just directing, just go ahead and do it. So I was like, let's do it.
Good. That's great experience for both of you guys. And for me, you guys hit a cause that's very near and dear to my heart. Why did you guys choose restorative justice?
I think a big part of it usually started out with the initial kind of conversation. Is this a one-off thing? Do we have a production company? And it was like, we felt as our calling as artists, it was like, we're just going to do this. Without, thinking about starting a production company or anything like that. We just knew that from what me and Abdi experienced growing up, and just seeing friends and family going through the trials and tribulations of the justice system in King County, it's never, there's hardly ever a positive outcome for either of us, and we believe that restorative justice, as it focuses on repairing individuals and it focuses on healing individuals instead of, just putting people away and punishing them and having an instant effect. And we've seen in society and just in art in general, there's no instant effect to doing something that is going to be, monumental in your life. And so we thought, that's kind of how the conversation developed. And as me and Abdi have known, the work of Nikita Oliver, from back in 2016 when she ran for mayor, and Choose 180 even, and even through friends and family that we know that work, at KYFS in Kent over there in East Hill. We wanted to make sure that it was tapped in at a grassroots level to people we know, and take their experience, take the experience of people who have been doing it for years, that have done the research, that have went to school for it, and support these organizations where they need it. Instead of asking them, we just wanted to really just give back all of the funds to creative justice and Choose 180. And that's not to take away from the value and the important work that many other organizations are doing. We just, at this moment, we just saw fit for these two that we know. We encourage everybody to continue to support, Black-led grassroots organizations that are in the field every day doing what they do.
Well, I appreciate that so much. That was really answered my other question about how this work really fits into the larger movement. But it sounds like you guys were on point with that. You guys knew exactly how to take your artistry and creativity and move it into the movement. So, lastly, how can folks catch up with you? How can folks, I know you guys just pulled this project together, but if people want to support it, let the folks know how they can do that.
Yeah, so we have the website set up. It's who-m-i-film.com. We made sure to make the website like as informational as possible. We have links to Creative Justice, Choose 180, and the film itself, the GoFundMe to donate. And this is where you can also like keep up with all the artists featured. The Instagram for Who Am I as well. We're featuring every single day. We've been featuring one artist out of the 40 with a quote of their own. The Twitter as well. So all of that is, let me see. The Instagram is whoamifilm_, I believe, and then the Twitter is just whoamifilm. So that's where you guys can just keep up, donate. I encourage everybody to go watch it and donate if you can.
100%.
Well, thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us. We really appreciate it. And we also want to give a major shout out to Randy Seraph, who put us, let us know about you guys and kept us in contact. An incredible woman that, this project would have not been possible without her.
Yeah, big shout out. Man, me and Randy go way back. You know what I'm saying? We've seen her constant elevation and through the lens. A lot of people might not know. Like Randy works on a lot of big productions these days. But I remember, man, like Randy when she first started as a blogger over a decade ago. And so, however, with the Randy that you see today, who's out there making moves. You see, she works on big productions. She works that camera that goes over the football stadium and everything else. Man, a decade ago, Randy was sitting there with a blogger with just a flip cam. You know what I'm saying? And so, her story itself is inspirational of like, man, stay down, stay on the grind, stay after it. And you just doors keep opening, man. But look, Abdi, Jonathan, thank you so much. People can check it out. You can go on YouTube, the name of the film, Who Am I Film. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we got a little bit of Melanin Magic. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
We're the Yard Bros. I'm Taco.
I'm Tia.
And this is our love story.
So we've been together for 14 years and married for 12.
So we met at a choir rehearsal.
No.
Which way?
We met at church.
Oh, you're talking about the very first.
The very first interaction.
When you were shady. Okay.
I was not shady.
And I was like, will you?
Remember that.
And then it cuts off. And then I was like, marry me. And then I feel the bars.
But it stopped being about each other. And so COVID helped us to return to, wow.
We matter. You and I matter.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to our love story.
We're the Yard Bros.
And Vote Black Love.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury.
I'm Trey Holiday, y'all.
All right, so Trey, we had a few things actually in the first segment, but we jumped over so we could stay on time with Abdi and Jonathan. One thing here I know is gonna, as a bulldog, it's gonna bring a lot of joy to your heart when you see this. This is Coach Trey Simmons. The other Trey, it's so many Treys. This is Trey Simmons. This was his Twitter right here, and it says, let me put this on the big screen. This is when they got their rings. Garfield High School 2020 rings. Love this coaching staff. Our boys deserved it, and it's not often when you and your nephew, Jalen Stewart, 6, get your first high school state rings together. Those are the coaches right there, Garfield High School, state champions. And the women are too, by the way, so we'll keep an eye out for those rings as well. As we like to say, singing glory, hallelujah.
Hey.
We went to Garfield High.
Man, I graduated from Trey and I grew up together. We called each other twin all the way through until we graduated Garfield, because we were at Rotary Boys and Girls Club together, stomping grounds way back in the day. This is what community is all about. I'm so happy to see Trey at GHS bringing his brilliance there to that team. He did it when we were there, graduated back in 2000, but he's doing it again 20 years later. Amazing to see, man. Shout out to my bro Trey. Shout out to the teams over there at GHL, holding it down, keeping that legacy alive, baby. I love it.
Ain't nothing like being a Bulldog. Another clip, actually, from our early segment is it's the "I Will Vote" video, and I mean it's put out by the Biden campaign, but it has a lot of black mayors, both women and men, and you kind of have the black women mayors, calling out the men, saying like, "Yo, black women vote. How come the black men ain't voting?" Check this out.
Black women have always been on the front lines for social justice.
It's what we do.
We organize, make phone calls,
and yes,
we run for office.
All while being fly.
We stand up
to systemic racism,
fight for health care
and justice for all our citizens, and use our power, our right, our responsibility.
Black women,
let's vote. Vote.
For Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Your turn, fellas.
Okay, we got this. Fellas, brothers, we've heard our sisters,
our mothers, our wives and daughters cry out for equality.
Equality.
All across this country. And now it's our turn.
Our responsibility to take our power back.
Black women vote more than black men.
And it's time we change that.
Don't give your power away.
Every single vote counts in this election.
Show up.
Show out.
And vote for Joe Biden
and Kamala Harris.
All right, I will vote.
I'm over here like, I'm so inspired. I'll be honest, like to see all of that black brilliant as mayor. Really. Oh, thank you. That was so great for me and my person today. I'm so inspired. I encourage everybody to vote, and I agree with them. I don't care if you're like, well, I'm not excited by this. Well, what are they doing? They got to earn my vote. I'm with it too. I'm there with y'all. Trust and believe. But we have to utilize this right to vote. We have to keep pressing forward. I've been having this conversation for the last few weeks with my brother who wants to vote libertarian. So I am definitely having this conversation. I'm so glad that these elected officials took it into their hands to say, we need to make this message and we need to do it now. I love it.
Yeah, man. You know what's crazy is that's what people have been hitting me up. They're like, man, the more I hear you talk about things, you sound more like a libertarian than anything. Yeah. Like, well, hey, man, no matter where you come down, man, vote. You know what I'm saying? Just vote. Yes. Vote. And I mean, there's a president, but there's so many other things that are impacting our city. So now you guys got to excuse me on this our last clip here. This is our Melanin Magic Monday music segment by producer Nikki Barron. And I don't have it on the screen. I'm an old man over here, so I got it on paper and scrunched it up here. So this week's Melanin Magic is another set from our friends at Big Building. Big Building is of all volunteer arts ran nonprofit curating and streaming shows on YouTube, and the shows look really good, by the way. YouTube and Facebook every Thursday. For today's segment, we bring you Blake Anthony and Blake Anthony is an independent recording artist, vibing at the expense of Afro Galactic. This should be interesting. Afro Galactic. He has been privileged to work with renowned creators such as Vitamin D. Oh, okay, it's all good. It says Vitamin D right here. With Vitamin D, Eric G, DJ Grumble, and more. And yeah, so we're going to play this right here. But the main thing is, the big thing about this collaboration is that, right now we've got this focus on, Melanin Mondays is usually music. And right now our genre is black rock. because this is something people never really assume or don't think about. When you think about Seattle and music and rock music, you never really think about black rock or black acoustic music and everything else. And these guys over there at Big Building, they put on a sharp presentation. So here we go, right here. This is today's Melanin Magic, and this is Blake Anthony.
Lost in the mix, often coughing at the sound of the big fog and slothing uptown as I lift off with caution. Think I'll spend another day recording, boring, loving every minute in the zone, dreaming of a lady in the happy home and scheming. On some pussy, can you bring it over? Can you bring it over? Can I take it over? Loser, flicking tongues for the hallelujah. Chew ya, bit it over like I never knew ya. Lose ya, roll up for the hallelujah. For the hallelujah. It's money season, take no shit and stack my cheese and say I need you. Might just leave here, I can't sleep if mine can't eat. Touch my dream and blood might leak. Touch my people, rest in peace. Face the steeple, off my knees. Pray the Lord, gon' pray for me. Feeling lost in the mix, often coughing at the sound of the big fog and slothing uptown as I lift off with caution. Think I spend another day recording, boring, living every minute in the zone and dreaming of a lady in the happy home and scheming. On some pussy, can you bring it over? Can you bring it over? Can I take it over? Trip 6 side, stoop side.
Blake Anthony, man, these guys, Big Building, they shoot this stuff. It's so nice. And they're filling a void right now with COVID and everything because performers want to perform. People want to see them perform. And, these productions, they keep coming out every Thursday over there. So thank you to the team over at Big Building.
Absolutely. Shout out to them. I love seeing creativity, and it's another way that COVID is showing us how to be innovative, be creative, and they are doing it hands down. Shout out to those guys. An amazing set by those guys too. Also, I was loving his flow, his vibe. I'm gonna definitely check them out.
All right. So before we get out of here, definitely want to say thank you to everybody who continues to support Converge Media as we continue to try to grow and thrive in our space. Carlos Imani, the director over for Vote Black Love, wanted me to remind everybody, if you have a couple that you want to nominate, you can go to our website, whereweconverge.com/Vote Black Love. The initial episode is this Sunday, 7 p.m. Taco and Tia. Tia did a poem about Breonna Taylor. It went viral, and man, it's crazy. This is definitely a power couple here. Exactly. But yeah, just want to say thank you to everybody for your continued support, and we're going to stay after it. Got any last words, Triana?
You know what? I'm ready to make it a great week, my friend. I hope all of you guys do it as well. This was a great show. And again, I want to also send my thanks to all the supporters out there. We so appreciate you guys.
All right. Well, I'm standing up over here.
I am.
All right. Well, till tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. facing the rising sun.